you ready for this? All right. The statements issued by hosts, co-hosts, guests, and anyone else appearing on the show do not reflect the stance of the College of New Jersey or the NJDOE OSE. Please use your professional judgment when implementing strategies and resources within your practice. Welcome back to TCNJ AT Talks. We are the podcast affiliated with the Assistive Technology Center at TCNJ, and we're here to inform, educate, and empower listeners about assistive technology. I'm your host, Brian Kenyon, owner of Kenyon Learning Consulting, and you are?
And I'm Vanessa Lombardo. I'm the project director of the AT Center at TCNJ, and we're very excited for today's conversation.
I'm Madison Brownstein. I'm a speech language pathologist and ATP with the AT Center, and it's great to be back.
We are thrilled to be joined today by two fantastic guests from DRNJ, Disability Rights New Jersey. Mike Murata, he's the director of the Richard West Assistive Technology Center, and Jessica Lax, who works with youth and people on transition and self-advocacy. Mike and Jesse, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
Mike, if you could start off, just give us a little bit of your background and who you are and where you come from and all that kind of good stuff.
Who I am and where I come from, Brian. Such a loaded question. I will parse it all out in my brain and be professional. Hello, everybody. I am an AT specialist. I have been in the field of AT for a very long time, 30 plus years now. As an AT specialist, doing services in schools, presentations, those kinds of things. I am now proud to say I am the director of the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center at Disability Rights New Jersey, and we are New Jersey's Assistive Technology Act program. So we're federally funded through the AT Act to make sure that people across New Jersey know about assistive tech. So that's me in a nutshell. Glad to be here.
Thanks. And Jesse, if you could just introduce yourself, tell our listeners a little bit more about you as well.
Sure. So I've been working with people with disabilities for roughly 11 years. And as far as my time at Disability Rights New Jersey, I've been here for over 3 years now. When I first started at Disability Rights New Jersey, I was working only with youth and transitions age students, helping them get ready for the end of high school and prepare for college and or next steps for jobs, anything that they wanted to do post high school. And then recently, within the last, would we say 10 months, Mike?
Yeah,
I transitioned full-time over to the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center, and this is my first big delve into assistive technology. I am a newbie, and I am learning as we go, but I am loving it. So thank you for having me.
That's awesome. Has there been any assistive tech that you've worked with in the past couple months that has really wowed you? Is there anything that you've...
So I'm constantly wowed by AAC devices, and in particular, the AAC devices that are just apps that can be used on the iPad, because that makes technology itself so much more available from different angles for people who are also using AAC, to not just have a device that's specifically dedicated to AAC. So that's the biggest wow for me these days, and also reminding myself that everyone has been using assistive technology their whole life. They just don't know it. So
Totally. Cool.
Well said. That's it. Shut it down, Brian. That's
All
it.
right, we're done.
Yes, he did it.
Podcast over. We don't even need to talk about what's coming up, and that doesn't matter. But well, before we dive into our main topic, let's kick things off with a question from our mailbag. Madison, what do you have for us?
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. This question comes from a listener named David, who is a new child study team case manager. He writes, "Hi, team. I'm new to my role and trying to get a handle on all the amazing AT resources available in New Jersey. It sometimes feels like there are many different agencies and organizations, and I'm not sure how they all fit together. What's the best way to understand how your organizations collaborate, and more importantly, how can I stay current with the latest assistive technology and best practices?"
That's a great question. I'm going to say that Mike probably has some good answers for us on this one. What do you think, Mike?
I think I have a answer or two. Let's see if they're good. I think David asked a great question. I think it's at the core of what any of us do in regards to assistive tech. Jesse just mentioned this idea of trying new things and learning new things, and all of us constantly searching for things. And it's about being as efficient with our time as possible and yet be as productive as possible. And so this question that he asks is really powerful. And this idea of, where do I go? I don't want to spin wheels and find the wrong stuff. So where do I find the right stuff? And I think the easy answer, Brian, is flat out just go to either of our websites. I feel like those are simple, straightforward, and very self-serving answers, but I think that they work. And I think as you start to explore those resources, start to expand your network a bit. Like, you learn about us, and then you see who we're connected with, and you learn about them. In New Jersey, we're lucky to have not just 2 centers that focus on AT now, which is really exciting that we have 2 centers doing different things, yet doing kind of the same thing. I think at TCNJ, your center obviously focused specifically on education, which is great. Our center is almost the opposite in a sense, is it focuses on everything. It really focuses on AT, but then AT for anyone, regardless of where you are and what your needs might be. And so I think the combination of those 2 resources is incredibly powerful. I'll give David one more. Check out the group NJ CART, the Coalition for the Advancement of Rehab and Assistive Technology, njcart.org. Great organization that is basically a professional group of people who work in this field, coming together, learning from each other, sharing with each other, but bringing others into the conversation. And they're just a wealth of resources. And so I think those are a good few places to start.
Great. That's an excellent answer. And I hope that, David, you'll listen to the rest of our episode, and we'll give you a little more insight into the differences between the ATAC and the AT Center, so we can learn a little more about that.
Oh, I just wanted to add in that, I can speak for the AT Center, but I know, Mike, you have a number of events that are offered virtually. And, I know our events are free, and just kind of, attending those events and connecting with others and networking is also a great way to learn more about the resources that are available.
Yeah, I love it. So true.
Good. And so if you want to submit your own question, you can go to the atcenter.tcnj.edu website, and there's a tab at the top where you can click on the podcast, and there's either a Google form or a SpeakPipe, and you can leave a voice message there. But the one thing we like to do every week, Mike and Jesse, is when we have someone on, we like to start off with something a little more fun so our listeners can get a chance to know you a little better. And so we're going to have 2 rounds of rapid fire questions. And Vanessa, do you want to do these?
Sure. I'll kick it off. No problem. All right. So Mike and Jesse, as mentioned, so we have a few rapid fire questions that are just kind of fun. And then a couple that are a little focused on AT. Do not think about these too deeply, just whatever first comes to mind. Are you both ready to get started?
Sure, go ahead.
Yep,
Excellent.
you had me at don't think too deeply. Let's go.
Yes. All right. Perfect. We are so ready for this. All right. So the first question is, which do you prefer, coffee or tea?
Coffee for me.
Coffee.
Excellent. Me too. Second question, beach or mountains for vacation?
I'm a recent beach gal.
I'll go mountains.
All right. Excellent. Sweet or savory snacks?
Always sweet for me.
Ditto.
Excellent.
That one's always a point of contention.
Oh, I know. That's a very listen. We don't
I
mess
feel
with
like
snacks.
Jesse and I had the right answer. I mean, I don't know whether other people, everybody else. Well, I'll ask you all. Where do you all lay on that? Now I'm curious.
Me, I'm savory. Give me a bag of chips, and I'll eat the whole bag of chips.
I'm also a savory person.
Yeah.
Okay,
Three
Vanessa,
for
what about you?
three. 3 for 3.
Wow. Interesting.
Snacks.
There's a divide between our centers.
I know. I mean, and it's serious. We don't mess around.
That
with
is very
snacks.
serious. I
That's
might
all
hang
can
up
say.
now. It's pretty serious.
Excellent. All right, next one, which also could be a point of contention.
Oh, yeah.
But for pets, dogs or cats?
See, I like cats, but must love dogs.
Ah,
Okay.
Dogs.
all right. Okay. All right. All right. Your favorite season or time of year?
Probably summer or spring. Can't decide.
Oh,
Excellent. All right. On your commute or like a long car trip, podcasts or music to listen to?
Oh, that totally depends on my mood. I can't pick one.
interesting. Good.
Mm.
I don't
Gotcha.
commute. You're seeing me sitting in the chair I commute to every morning, but I do listen to a podcast in the morning.
So, if you have do you have a favorite
Yeah,
podcast?
favorite
You're like,
one. Yeah, or genre of music.
Do you want like a legit like work like honest work
No.
answer, or
It
you
could
want
be anything. It could
Oh,
be
thank
anything.
God.
Just
That's fine. That's fine, Brian. I already feel like you have a sense of what I'm about, but okay, that's cool. All right. I will tell you all. I can give you some work related ones too, but I'll give you one to start. That is the one I would tend to listen to quickly as soon as it comes out. I love bad movies. I love everything about them. The older, the better. The stupider, the better. Sign me up. Wasting time, never. Those are great. And so my favorite podcast is How Did This Get Made?
Yes, yes.
Just
I'm
talk
gonna have
about
to look
bad
that up.
movies,
I
and
don't
that's
think
it.
I don't think I've listened to that one. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Mm.
Same,
So-
same.
this will lead us more down a rabbit hole. What's your favorite bad movie?
Oh my God, this is such a
Oh.
great question. Are we a movie review podcast now? This is great. Okay.
Come on.
So- It depends on the mood, but I'll give you a couple that I've watched for the podcast that were fantastic. So the one was called New York Ninja. Look it up.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorites because they actually did a live recording of the podcast here in Red Bank at the Count Basie, and I dragged my wife to it.
That's
So it was
cool.
great.
Oh,
So we got to
wow.
watch the movie, which, FYI, she hated. We watched it, and then we had to go there and listen to them talk about it for 2 hours.
That's cool.
Excellent.
Can I give you a little taste of the movie real fast?
Go for
Um,
it.
Go on. Go on.
The movie was shot in the 80s
Yeah.
and then lost.
Oh wow.
It didn't get released
What?
until 2021, but
wow.
That's crazy.
the audio track of the movie was ruined, so they had to watch the video, transcribe
Oh,
what people said, and then
no.
record new voices over it.
Wow.
If I haven't hooked you, I don't know why you're still listening to us right now. You should go find that movie and watch it.
Definitely.
That
Putting it on the
reminds me of
list.
the ET video game. Have you heard of this? It was so
Yes.
bad that they put it into a landfill, and there was a whole documentary made about searching for the landfill where this ET video game
Gosh.
was put.
Oh,
Love it.
my
It was put on the
Love it.
Atari.
Excellent. All right, so that was a lot from Mike, which thank
I
you
know, right?
so
What were
much
we
for
even
all
talking
that.
about?
We're
What
just
were
getting
we
in the
talking
groove,
about?
Mike.
Jesse, how about you?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite genre of music or a podcast you want to also tell the listeners about?
I would just recommend that people listen to Barbara Streisand as often as they would like, because
Okay.
All right.
That's all I have to say.
right. Excellent. Very good. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Two more. For each of you, are you a call person or a text message person?
oh, definitely calling. Tone does not accompany text.
Mm.
Careful, be careful there.
I'm a text person. I'm text.
Gotcha. All right. And lastly, I shouldn't say favorite book. Either of you have a favorite book?
Or TV show or movie. We kind of expanded.
Yeah,
Movie,
whatever.
TV
Media.
show.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as a favorite book, I'm gonna go with Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier.
Mm.
Nice. It's so funny. For someone, and you're all seeing my screen now. You're seeing there's enough books on a shelf back there. I read constantly, and then yet when someone says, "What's a favorite book?" I don't know what to answer. I'll say the one I'm reading right now.
I
Okay.
feel similar. I
Yeah.
get that.
I mean, I have favorites that I go back to, but I think it's just like, oh, what's the next one, and we go forward with.
Cool.
Excellent. And then the very last question, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Gosh. That's the most loaded question of the
Mhm.
bunch.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that comes
Yeah,
to
don't
mind.
think too hard, Jesse. Just hit it.
Yeah,
What do you got?
Right,
Rapid fire.
exactly,
Right on.
exactly. I'm not following the rules. So I'm gonna say invisibility with a caveat because some people can't if they say invisibility, then the next line of commenting is that, oh, you accidentally stay invisible forever. But no, I really want to make sure that I can go in and out of it with
Mhm.
ease.
Gotcha. On command. I like
I
that.
like that. I don't have to think as long as Jesse. I've thought about this before today. So you've hit on something I've already thought about. I want to be able to fly.
Yeah.
That was mine
Yes.
too.
Yeah, Madison,
Mhm.
right? I mean, how cool would
Yeah.
that be?
Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Very cool. All right, good deal. So now we have a couple that are more focused on assistive technology. The first one being, what is your favorite low tech solution?
Mike, you go first.
All right. My favorite low tech solution, AT. So when I think low tech, I'm going to frame it because I have another answer, but it's not technically low tech. Low tech, you don't plug it in, it doesn't run on batteries, right? That's my
Mhm.
my definition of low
Mhm.
tech.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
I'm going to go with Post-it notes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am definitely a big fan of Post-it notes for sure.
And I was gonna say anything like or similar to a grabber that makes it easier to just
Mm.
that
sure.
just makes it easier to like get whatever you need in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those
Exactly.
devices.
Cool.
Very cool. Wonderful.
Good one.
All right. What's the biggest myth that you see in terms of assistive technology? Something that, people say, but we know is really not the case.
Oof. That people are getting more assistance and more and assistance doesn't do this concept justice. That people are not doing as much for themselves
Mhm.
and being as creative and as independent as they can be because they are using assistive technology, which is dead wrong.
Mhm.
Right.
Nice,
Agreed.
Jesse. That's really good. I like that. I would say that it's the age old myth of AT that it's all expensive and complicated.
Yeah.
And there's never been a time where AT has been more affordable or more available to you.
Definitely.
I could go down a rabbit hole of talking about built-in accessibility in your phone for the next 4 hours.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you wouldn't have spent a single dime on it, yet you have such an ability to customize your experience right there in your hand. And sometimes people don't even know.
Right. So like you said, that myth of people don't know what they have access to
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly.
So for sure. All right, great. In terms of innovation, right? What's one kind of exciting innovation or just something that you've seen? Jesse, of course, you mentioned a couple wow things, but just over time, right? Kind of these recent innovations, what would be something you might say for that?
I'm gonna refocus again on all the apps that are out there, the independent apps that are focused on assistive technology. I just think they're great, and I'm having a great time learning about all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I would
Awesome.
think the innovation that I would think that it's impacting our field right now is AI,
Yes.
and it will
Without a
continue to
doubt.
impact our field, and it will be the next disruptor of our field where we'll have to constantly recenter people to remind them that it's not about all tools. It has to be about functions and features. And this is just the next moment of us refocusing people.
Absolutely.
I think the iPad did that. We had to refocus people. The Chromebook did that in education. We had to refocus people. I think AI is now the next refocus point.
Yeah. No, and to that point, thinking about the future, right? Kind of describing the future of our field and thinking about it in that way, Mike, I think you're right. AI and thinking about the synergies, right, between assistive technology, AI, ed tech, but would there be, I guess, anything else about kind of the future of the field and kind of how you see things moving, thinking about, you and I both, kind of working in this field for a long time. What would you say about the future of AT?
I would think the future of AT, Vanessa, when I think about it, I wonder if the future of AT has AT being so delineated from everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
If we're talking about education now, so I'm going to focus my thoughts into education here. certainly in our state, for sure. Other states are a little different, but in our state, rarely do we come across an education professional whose job title is assistive tech.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, I honestly
Mhm.
can't think of a single one that
Right.
I know
Mhm.
within our state that their title in a school district is AT professional or AT specialist. And so I think as technology continues to evolve and it becomes even more omnipresent in our classroom, it will get kind of the AT-ness of it might get smoothed over, and it's going to be, you're going to have tech people, which I kind of like this idea. By the way, of someone who is a tech specialist and also talks about AT. I think that is a
Right.
very powerful way for us to evolve our field within education.
Yeah, that it really is a both and to kind of,
Yeah.
as we've talked about for years, right? Those silos and
Yeah.
really making it more not only collaborative in terms of the professionals, but really looking at it as one path versus two different things.
Yeah. And then, like you said, the silos break. People are looking at things more, they're looking at their technology more holistically. It's like across the field. It's not just, oh, this is for that person over there, and this
Right,
is for
right.
this person over here. No, this is a tool we have. How does it work for everyone in our space? And it's different.
Right. And
Absolutely.
like opening up that knowledge that there's so much like at your fingertips that you don't necessarily know. And like, having more people be, I would say like AT literate or
Right.
something of those along those lines, like to be able to support, individuals and showcase these features that are available.
Yeah, because you think about it, Madison, I would often say to people, the AT that I talk about when I come to schools is certainly not rocket science. I
No.
wish I could say it's really complex and I'm the only one who can do it, but that's not the case. It's never been the case. Now it's even less of the case. And I think, Madison, I think that idea, going back to what you said, demystifies all of that. If we bring these ed tech individuals in and technology coaches and just educators and have them think broader about the tech they have in their classroom and how they could apply it, it would it would be a world of difference in how we supported students in those classes with unique needs, different needs.
And it also
Definitely.
brings up this idea that people forget that everything should be individualized.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything should be individualized, from AT to other classroom supports to all the other ways in which students and young people learn and grow. Everything should not be a cookie cutter, one size fits all. That's why you see some IEPs that aren't written the best, because they're kind of, using ideas that only work for certain students, and
Right.
not everyone is included in that group. So absolutely everything should be individualized. And I think assistive technology as a whole, once people learn more about it, is really a great subject that can showcase that individuality.
Yeah, that customization that's built into so many different tools. Excellent. Well, thank you both. Appreciate, of course, your answering all those rapid fire questions and getting to know you both a little better.
Cool. That was good.
Awesome.
So now we're going to talk a little bit more about the AT Summit and things that are coming up. But first, I want to, and I think, Mike, you did kind of hit on this, but you are the director of the Richard West Assistive Technology Advocacy Center, and also a certified ATP professional. So I don't know how long you've been, and maybe you don't want to tell us. But
Yeah,
what initially?
I've been so reserved up till now, Brian. I probably won't tell you, right?
What initially drew you to assistive technology and also advocacy too, disability advocacy?
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like the journey of the AT journey of it all. I will often tell people. So I told you I was in this field for more than 30 years now. I came to this field not as an educator. I'm not an educator. I'm not a therapist. I'm an engineer. That was what my training was in. And as I finished school, I was struggling to find a job as an engineer. And partly, I think part of it was I don't really know that I liked the idea of engineering. Like after going through it, I was like, I don't know, this is all right, I guess. At the time, my mom worked in a center for people with physical disabilities, and they were looking for a guy to fix wheelchairs.
Oh, wow.
And they said, will you be our guy? And you can still go out for interviews and you can do all that other stuff. And if you get a job, that's cool. Everybody's fine. And that was my start in this field of AT. And it was about fixing wheelchairs, working with people with significant physical disabilities, and then layering in all of those other tools, AAC tools, computer access, alternate access, all of those different things, mounting, switches, you name it. It was in this center. And then just over time, it's just progressed. And I was lucky enough to be approached by the people at DRNJ. Now it's been 10 years ago, with the idea of being the director of this program. And at the time, I was on the advisory board of the program. So I was a professional in the field in our state, and I was part of the advisory board. And there was a part of me that was like, man, I could do that job and I would like that job. I like the idea of making sure people understand what's out there. I think any of us that do this for any period of time, the most frustrating thing is seeing either someone who doesn't know what they need, so they're not being successful, or they get the wrong thing and they're still not being successful. And so having that opportunity to be kind of at a systems change level and kind of affect the way that happens at a statewide level was really enticing to me. And it's been great. I often will say, I could see me working this job till I retire, unless I totally blow it and they kick me out. And that could happen at any moment. That could happen. But I really do think I could ride this job till the end of my professional career.
Oh yeah. And like one thing I figured out, advocacy, right? And what you probably do a lot is that it's not that you have to do it, you want to do it, right?
Yeah.
You want to advocate for people and help out around. So
yeah, Brian, there's no way you could be in this field, Brian, and not want to be helping people do something, right? You just couldn't.
Agreed.
And so the idea of being in an agency that is their sole function is to help people,
right,
at all different levels. It's a perfect fit for what we do.
Right. That's the only reason you're here is to help people. That's what I feel like all the time.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just here to help people. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. Jessica, let's get to know you a little better too. So you love self-advocacy. You worked with students and kids in that transition age. What inspired you to work with young adults with disabilities, especially as they go through that life transition process?
Well, as complicated as it may seem on the outside, the answer is actually very simple. And I'm sure I'm not the only one with this answer. It's simply the fact that when people grow up, they move differently, they act differently, they educate themselves differently, they're able to do new things, go new places, and the people who were originally supporting them are aging and they're moving on with their lives as well. So at the end of the day, the student, the young person, is the only person who was originally sitting at the table with the rest of their supporters. And at that point, it means that they now know themselves the best out of all of the other new people that are sitting at the table trying to help them. So that's reason number one. And reason number two is just that we value the independence of those without disabilities much more, I feel, than the independence of those with disabilities. And I just think that we should be doing more to promote the idea that we don't necessarily have to say, oh my gosh, so-and-so has a disability, but they're so independent. Well, we don't walk up to someone who doesn't have a disability, right? And say, oh my goodness, you are so independent.
Exactly.
Look at you
gosh.
go.
Yes, that's totally true.
So I just like this idea of how self-advocacy normalizes what everyone else without disabilities is already doing in their own lives, and they're not being, you know, pointed out for doing these everyday life things, you know? And I just feel like self-advocacy is so important because it really points out that everyone is basically living their own lives and doing the best they can in their own ways. And at the end of the day, everybody should be reminded that you are your own best person who knows yourself the most.
Absolutely. Very, 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 very well said. And thinking about, you know, assistive technology to maybe help bridge some of that gap, right? To really increase someone's independence and thinking about how it allows them to do all of those different things. And as you said, Jess, you know, not to be necessarily celebrated, but really just to make it so that we are all being as independent as possible and pursuing the life, obviously, that we want to lead and fulfilling our goals. And obviously, that's what really both our centers are thinking about doing, is focusing on what tools and what supports can help someone achieve their goals and be as independent as possible. And that leads us to our exciting event that is coming up, the AT Summit. And of course, as we've said, we are so thrilled to be partnering with you both and DRNJ for this event that's coming up in October. So can we start off first just kind of giving our listeners like the elevator pitch, right? When we say the AT Summit for education, what would be the kind of the primary goal, right? What's the purpose of the AT Summit?
Well, the purpose of the AT Summit is to learn, be better,
Well said. Well
apply
said.
that knowledge. I mean, that's it. I mean, you know what I mean? I think it's like anything else. I love professional learning. I love these kinds of things. So when you ask me what's great about this, I say, yeah, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to connect with others. You know, we had David with his question earlier about knowing things and people. There you go. What better way to know things and people than to be in a space where there's also people who are interested in the same thing you are? It's fantastic.
And it gives you that opportunity to ask questions to really support that learning process further.
Yeah, for sure. That idea, Madison, of being in the same space, hearing something, we all take it in differently, but having an opportunity to kind of work through it with someone else and kind of expand your thought of how that information is viable for you to go forward and complete the tasks you need to do.
Also, it's just a great networking opportunity. And the networking opportunity is a reminder that everyone is coming from different education backgrounds, personal backgrounds, professional backgrounds, and it's just going to give opportunities for everyone to expand not only their knowledge, but their network of people who they can connect with.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the great things about the summit that I always find, so that, you know, this is our first collaborative year on the summit, which is really exciting. We've been running the summit now for 8 years. It's taken some turns and done some different things in those 8 years, but ultimately it's been basically the same type of event. What's always been great about our event, and now what'll be great about our event this year, is that most of the presenters are from New Jersey.
That's cool.
We have people here that are knowledgeable, that have ideas that can impact the way each of us performs our job as we leave that day and go forward to be better at what we do. And these are, like Jesse said, people that are local enough that we could connect with each other. And we have potential to interact with each other in person if we wanted to. And that's really exciting to me. I think that it's really important to kind of celebrate the knowledge base that is around here. You know, if you've gone to a national conference or an international conference, those are all great. But, you know, I might not have the same connection to someone from another state that, while probably their needs and experiences are the same as mine, I can't readily get to that person potentially. Now I can through social media and connecting that way, but this idea of people in in our general geographic area that we can talk
We're in the
with.
same ecosystem.
Yeah, right. I think that's really great, and I love it. It's the best day ever. Look at that. That's my elevator pitch. It's the best day ever.
I love that.
Well, and I have something. We always say that the assistive technology field in New Jersey is so small, but this is the first time I'm meeting you, Mike. So I've never met you before, and I've been here for I've been in the AT field for about 6-7 years now, and this is the first time I'm talking to you. And I'm sure going forward, we'll connect more and talk more about AT and things like that going forward. So that I think, Jesse, you had said that really hits the nail on the head. It's about the networking and getting to meet people in your own field and separate fields too, because it's for more than just AT professionals. But yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
because
Brian,
again, people don't realize how much assistive technology touches everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for those, reflections and expansions. That sounds amazing. Going further with that, who would you say is the ideal audience for the summit? Is it geared more towards beginners or seasoned AT professionals?
I think for me, I'm thinking it's a good combination of both. I just hope that some of the more seasoned AT professionals are and I'm sure they will be willing to be in a kind of perhaps a mentor position towards those who are more beginners. I think a combination of both beginners and seasoned professionals is really the way to go here.
I agree. I think the answer is yes. It'll be both. It's both. And to Jesse's point, which I think is so important, because there are moments where you do go to things and people are not as collegiate and sharing with their ideas.
Mhm.
And I don't know that I've ever had that experience in an AT event. And I think it goes back to, Brian, what we were talking about, this idea of this willingness to be sharing everything. Here it is. I mean, I don't know how many times when we do our webinars and things, we always share all the slides and everything else. And people say, why do you do that? And I always think, well, why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I want you to have that information? If we're in a session and one of us is speaking, could you even imagine not entertaining a question and a conversation? I couldn't even imagine it.
Right.
Like, I can't even bring my brain around that. And so I think that is a really important piece, is this idea is ultimately we're all there to get better. We've all come in with the right mentality of, I want to be here to get better at what I do. And each of us, whether you are new to the field or, and I love the word seasoned as opposed to old, so thank you, seasoned. I'll keep using that forever. Seasoned. There's always something to learn, always. And if you're not learning something, I feel like that's on you and not on the other person, because there's things there to learn.
So basically what Mike is saying is, if you're invited to the party and you don't have a good time, that's on you. You got the invitation to have a great time. You got
Jesse,
the
you're
invitation
absolutely
to have a great time and learn new things and meet
Jesse,
new
you've learned
people.
something about me, not just at an AT event, but in life in general. If you
Right.
didn't have the right experience, I need you to find a mirror and figure out why you didn't have that experience.
Exactly.
That's on you.
What can attendees expect when they get here? Do you have a schedule? What's the day going to look like?
Yeah, we definitely have a schedule. I was waiting to see if Vanessa was going to say. I didn't want to step over Vanessa, but okay. We have a schedule. We're going to structure this day as, and I'll wait for Vanessa to look like she's going to start talking, and then I'll stop. But she's not going to.
I can
If
go
you guys are listening
ahead.
to audio, I can see Vanessa, and I'm like, is she going to start to talk? And then she didn't. I'm like, all right, I will.
Oh, when you have worked together, worked with someone for a long time.
Vanessa, I'm
knows
waiting.
you?
I'm looking at you, and I'm eyeballing you, and I'm like, is she gonna talk? No, all right.
Oh my. Well, yes, we can talk about the what the day will look like. Of course, it's going to be a very much a packed day. There's going to be 4 different times of sessions. We're going to have some breakfast and lunch. So, of course, we are very excited to provide all of that for our attendees. And the topics are all really diverse. As Mike said, we have a lot of different types of presentations. So some that are going to be focused on AAC, certainly, different technology in the classroom, AI, universal design for learning, and the synergy of all these different things. We are going to have some opportunity for some hands-on time with some of our vendors that will be there and some of the ATAC subcontractors who are going to be there in New Jersey, again, to really make it a community event in terms of New Jersey. And then the other thing that we are launching that, Mike, of course, I would like to pass on to you. I know we've been working on this community of practice and thinking about how we can take some of this learning further from just today, but kind of ongoing through the year. So, Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about our start of our community of practice?
I will, for sure. I was so excited because you used the word community in the sentence before that. I'm like, oh, is she setting it up? Is that what's happening right now? Very nice.
tried.
Done.
Oh,
You're so
man.
seamless. How do you do it?
Oh, I gotta go. I can't stay here right now.
So, our community of practice. Vanessa and I are really excited about this. Well, I'm assuming Vanessa's excited about it. Let's say.
I am.
All right, perfect. We're excited about this because this idea of, and I'll use the summit as a great example. You're a person working in a district or working in a center. You go to the summit, you get a day off. I'm air quoting off because you went and you worked. You got a day away from your center and you got to learn something. That's pretty great. You go back the very next day and what do you have to do? You probably have to catch up on the things you missed the day before, and then you're right back into it. And hopefully at some point you kind of weave that new information into your practice, right? That's the hope we all have when we go somewhere. But once you go back, you might be the only person who has knowledge about this topic and no one to talk to about it. And so the value of a community of practice is immeasurable. It's this idea of a group of people with similar interests getting together to just talk. No presentations, no people leading it. And even Vanessa and I are very clear on this idea. We will facilitate the time. Make sure we start, make sure we stop, make sure everybody gets a chance to say what they want to. But ultimately, the conversation and the topics are driven by the people that are part of it. And so Vanessa and I were lucky enough to talk with the people at the New Jersey Department of Ed, and they agreed to support this and promote this idea of us having an assistive technology community of practice. It will be all year, so it'll be throughout the 25-26 school year. We will meet once a month virtually on Zoom and just have conversations. You can join us, you cannot, that's fine. If you can't make it, that's cool. If you're there, great. What do you want to talk about? And just continue this discussion. And so we're going to kick the community of practice off at the summit. What better way to jumpstart it than a full day of learning and being able to meet each other in person and talk a little bit. And then as we go through the year, we will continue to evolve and grow our little community of learning as we go. It is a free event. No cost for you. And no real pressure either. I think some people sign up for this and they go, oh, what happens if I can't come 1 month? I feel bad. I don't want to sign up. Sign up. Just sign up. Come as often as you can. Because not only will we have opportunities to talk in those times we're together, now you will have connected with a group of people that you can reach out to whenever you need to. And that's what it's all about, that continual learning, that opportunities for learning, reflection, action. How do I continue going forward and being better at what I do? I'm really excited about that. I don't know if it's come across yet, Brian. Everybody else knows me here except you. I don't know if it's come across yet, but I like to talk.
No,
So
really?
a community of practice right in
Is
my
the
alley. man.
perfect outlet. Perfect
Fantastic.
outlet for that.
And I want it to be pointed out, Vanessa acting like she don't like to talk either is really bad.
It's also a
Oh, my
falsehood,
God.
as we're all well aware. Absolutely. And I mean, the great thing about this partnership, not only in the community of practice, but also the AT Summit, the partnership between the two centers is, I think, so important for people in New Jersey because, Mike, we've talked about this for years. Brian, you've heard me say this, Madison too, that students, right? So our AT Center at TCNJ is very focused on education and working with students pre-K all the way up to whenever they graduate, up to 21. But students become adults. And Jesse, as you were saying, in terms of that self-advocacy and that independence. So looking at our centers with these kind of complementary missions, we're both working with students. We're only working with students at TCNJ, but that we're really bringing that kind of full spectrum of AT support, and we can have those conversations and help guide people in the right direction in terms of that, AT and looking at it not only in education, but obviously as they're, moving through life. So it's really nice to be able to provide that holistic view and perspective for people in New Jersey.
Yeah. And Vanessa, that same thing is, as we've talked about this idea that we're also at the same time, we're maximizing our efforts. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of funny. If someone was to look at the video of our screen right now and see the five of us, I'm pretty sure they're seeing all the staff of these two centers. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, We're not talking about 30, 40 people. We're talking about 5 people.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so, we're wearing many different hats.
Exactly, Madison. So this idea of maximizing not just time, effort, and funding, quite honestly. I mean, if we want to just bring it down to funding, there's only so many dollars. Mm-hmm. What do we do to ensure that we're making the most difference across our state? And, mm-hmm. Vanessa, you and I had that conversation when we started this discussion of a partnership. Mm-hmm. If you're all funded to provide supports for people in education, that's great. I can focus some of my funding towards other areas that maybe don't see as much as far as funding and resources and learning opportunities and those kinds of things. Everybody wins. None of us need the credit. I don't know if you guys feel like you need the credit. I certainly don't feel like I need the credit. No. It's fine.
No.
I love the idea of we are doing this. I love that idea. I think it's great.
Absolutely. Getting people what they need for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And now that we have everyone interested in all of our upcoming events, the summit, the community of practice, and everyone's on the edge of their seats, where can we find out some more information about the AT Summit?
Are you on the proverbial? Yeah, go ahead. Where, Jesse? Where do we go?
We would direct you to our main ATAC website, which is at4nj.org. You're going to go to the homepage and you're going to scroll right down to Assistive Technology News, where there's a paragraph about the AT Summit and a link to find out more information about the sessions, cost, all of that jazz.
And this will be in the show notes too, correct, Brian?
Yes, it will be. Yeah,
so that they can copy and paste that and go right there.
Definitely.
All right.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, we are, like we said, super excited. October 7th here at the College of New Jersey. It's going to be a great day. So we hope that we see most of you there. And of course, we always like to end with some fun also. So we have a little game every time. And this time it is called Summit Spotlight. I'm going to make a quick statement about the AT Summit, and Mike and Jesse, you tell me if it is fact or fiction. Again, just feel free to call it out. Are you both ready?
Sure.
Yeah, I got a little nervous, but I feel like I'm ready. Yeah, let's go.
I have every confidence in you.
Mike, you should be pretty nervous. Very
I
nervous.
do, Brian. I live my life being nervous about stuff. So what I'm going to say, I said it.
We're living on the edge. All right, here we go. Statement number 1, fact or fiction? The AT Summit is only for people who live in Mercer County, New Jersey.
Fiction.
Excellent. Sure. It is for anyone. Fiction. It's for anyone across the entire state of New Jersey and beyond.
Yeah, and in fact, other years, we've had a fair number of people come from other states, which is really exciting.
Absolutely.
Again, spreading the network and building connections is awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Great. All right, statement number 2, fact or fiction. You will have opportunities to get some hands-on time with maybe some new assistive technology devices.
Major fact.
Major fact. Love it.
Yes, we are. We are excited to be able to have some of that time. Very cool. All right, statement number 3. The summit is only for special education teachers.
I think for sure that's fiction. We want everybody at the party. We want everybody to join us. I think for the longest time, here I go on another soapbox. I think for the longest time, AT events were only attended by special education people. And so this idea of, if you're an administrator, please join us. If you're a general educator, please join us. You will find things that are relevant for you that you can take back and change your practice. And it makes for better conversations.
Absolutely. And that inclusivity for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if our listeners all know about this, but I'm sure many do. The idea of universal design for learning means that everybody is going to be able to take something away from this summit, even though there's a focus on people with disabilities, yes, but everyone, regardless of disability or not, or regardless of whether or not you're a special education teacher or a general education teacher or not, is going to be able to take something away from this. So really leaning into the idea of universal design.
Wonderful. And then our last one, statement number 4. You can get professional development hours for attending the AT Summit. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Absolutely. Yes, we are happy to be able to provide those PD hours. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mike and Jesse. Of course, we really appreciate you having on. Brian, you want to throw
Yeah,
in
that was a
any-
lot of fun. And so if you want to sign up for this summit, you're going to go to the at4nj.org website, scroll down, there'll be a paragraph, find all that information there. And if anyone wants to learn about your amazing year-round work you do at Disability Rights New Jersey, where should they look?
I think they should keep scrolling down that website and check out some of the other pages on there. You know, I think I'm assuming this is going to come out soon because we're promoting the summit.
Yeah.
So I'll also do a cheap plug on some of the other stuff we're doing this fall, which I think is really important. It gives a sense of what we do. We host a ton of webinars, always free, our webinars. We bring in speakers from around the country to talk. Sometimes we will talk. So we'll have all those. So definitely we have a webinar page on our website you could check out. We're also this fall bringing in Kelly Fonner, who's a national speaker, to talk about POD.
Love pod.
Go ahead, Madison. Tell us what POD is. I'm going to let you. Madison's so
Okay.
excited about this, so I want her to tell us.
So I actually, before I started working at the AT Center, I went to your intro to pod event a few years ago and loved it. Kelly's fabulous. So pod stands for Pragmatic Organization Dynamic Display. And it is it has been adapted into AAC apps, but it is kind of like a language system. And it provides individuals with more opportunities for pragmatically based language. So think about those social phrases to be able to maybe encourage individuals who might not be as motivated to maybe put words together. It will provide them that access to be able to communicate socially and access that language system. So I think it's a really great system. I've used it with a number of individuals, and it's awesome, and excited to be participating in part 2 and 3.
Really excited. Thanks, Madison. Explained that 1,000 times better than I would have. And that's why I punted on that. But yeah, so we're excited. We're going to be hosting Kelly for 4 days this fall. So the week of November 11th, we're going to be hosting her for 2 days for the intro to pod training. And then day 3 is alternative access to pod. And then day 4 is pod and using it with speech generating devices. So check out our website. We have a whole page on pod. give you the breakdown of what those days will cover. Hopefully you can join us because it's really exciting. It's not often that the pod training comes to the East Coast. And so we want to make sure people know it's here. We've done this the past 2 years. Madison mentioned coming previously to the intro class. We've done it in Mercer County. So we've done it in Central Jersey. We did it in Cape May last year, because why not do it in Cape May? That's fine. And this year we're doing it in the northern part of the state. We're doing it up near Oakland and Mahwah, up there, up in the northwest corner of the state. So definitely check that out. But that's it for the plugs right now. But again, thanks for having us, guys. We had a great time.
Thanks for being a part of this. And that's a wrap on another episode of AT Talks. A huge thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. We love making this podcast and building this community with all of you. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. The team at the Assistive Technology Center at TCNJ is dedicated to supporting educators across New Jersey. If you were inspired by today's discussion and want to bring high-quality, free professional development to your district, Vanessa and Madison are ready to help. To learn how you can partner with the center and build capacity in your school, head over to our website. You can find all the information you need at atcenter.tcnj.edu. And while you're there, we want to hear from you. Visit the podcast tab. There you can send us a question through our Google form, or even better, leave us a voice message on SpeakPipe for us to play live on the show. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all our latest events and resources. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube with the handle @ATCenterTCNJ. And don't forget to subscribe to AT Talks on whatever platform you're listening on right now so you never miss an episode. On behalf of Vanessa, Madison, and myself, Brian, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.